Most of the creatives that I come into contact with have this kind of innate belief that you have to have millions of adoring fans and be super famous to have a thriving creative practice. That was true for a period of time with mass production where you had to print a lot of stuff and sell it to a lot of people for not very much money. And so the only people that could really break through had to be the people that had this giant mass appeal. In this video, I want to show you why I think in these times that couldn't be further from the truth. Hey, I'm Andy J. Pizza. I'm an illustrator, podcaster, and Skillshare teacher, and I have dedicated my career to exploring the creative myths and rules that keep us artists up at night. Welcome to Unmaking the Myth. You've been on the internet, you're here right now, and that means you might have heard of a guy named Kevin Kelly. He was a co-founder of Wired Magazine, and he wrote a little blog post in 2008 about this idea of 1,000 true fans. The general idea is that you don't need millions of fans, you only need 1,000 true fans. So what is a true fan? Well, Kevin Kelly defines a true fan as someone who will spend $100 on your work, okay? All you need is 1,000 of those people. Okay, 1,000 seems like a lot, but a lot of us think we need millions of those people. All you need is 1,000. You get 1,000 people that love your work enough to give you $100 a year. You are making a decent living. What could you do with $100,000? You could pay your bills. For one thing, you could buy a whole lot of art supplies. You could buy a boat, not a huge boat, but a boat. You don't need a huge boat. You're supposed to be doing this for the art. It's about the art. There are really three reasons, in my opinion, why this is so much more of a solid foundation to build your practice on. And the first one is, when you are shooting for the masses, you're trying to hit a bunch of things at the same time. But when you're trying to just hit on just a few people, you can really tailor what you're doing. You can get specific with your examples and write what you really know. The second reason is because you're no longer beholden to gatekeepers. There are so many people who are reliant on clients picking them, casting directors casting them, but when you are making directly for your audience, you know how to show up and bring them what they're looking for. Nobody else gets to decide if you're cool or relevant. And the third reason is because when you have this diehard connection with your audience, you are not subject to the fickle nature of trends. Think about your favorite band. You're listening to every album they create, even as the tastes of the masses shift. And when you have 1,000 true fans, your practice can exist above that. Speaking of favorite bands, one of my all-time favorite bands that I am freaking obsessed with is this little band out of Cincinnati called Why. This band speaks to me on a cellular level.
I'm not a ladies' man, I'm a landmine, filming my own fake death. Under an 88 Cavalier I go.
Okay, this music, I feel like it's for people who, grew up in the Midwest, riding backwards on the racer roller coaster at Kings Island. Yes, he calls that out in a specific lyric. And also whose favorite song from childhood might have been Crossroads by Bone Thugs and Harmony. And then as they went along life, got into Sufjan Stevens. That Venn diagram, that is the band Why. And that could not be more tailored to my taste, to my experiences, and it hits me so deep. When you go for that deep connection, you are going to connect in this incredible way. In fact, they didn't even need to be picked by some giant record label. They just went ahead and started their own, and they figured out how to make their stuff directly for the people that loved it. So you're saying, Andy, that's great for the things you're a super fan of, but What about your practice? The same has been true for my creative practice. You know, I unfortunately graduated in 2008, which was like right when the recession hit. And then overnight, all of my clients disappeared for like a long time, and I was forced to rethink, how does one build a creative practice? I just started slowly but surely trying to connect deeply with people. I started thinking about what are the things, even from childhood, that really meant everything to me. And I started pouring these into these little characters that I was posting every weekday for a year. At first, I was getting like 1 to 2, 3 likes per post. Eventually, at the end of the project, we built up to a few hundred likes. Fast forward a little bit, that project becomes something that I call Invisible Things. Invisible Things went a little bit mini viral with this audience, and we made a poster out of it. We sold over 1,000 posters to these true fans. And since then, this project and all the merch that we've created around it has been a huge part of how I've funded my practice today. If you're watching this, I'm assuming that you are a creative, and I just want you to ask yourself, what would it look like for the anxiety around your work if you let go of needing to appeal to millions of people and being a super huge hit and success, and instead drill down deep with just 1,000 true fans? You know what I'm a fan of? You, because you stayed to the end of the video, which means you're probably ready to watch the next episode of Unmaking the Myth. Subscribe to Skillshare's channel and make sure you don't miss another episode.